If you're going to market it,
buy it today.
You would be the worst person for sponsors.
Buy it
so
today.
People do not listen or buy anything from Adrian.
Buy it today.
Anyway, back to the potty.
Back to the podcast. How do I make 300 grand and not turn into a frog?
Yes.
Very exciting episode today. We say that every week, but today is actually an exciting one. Why? Because you are going to build out a bit of a plan for people. You're going to show people how they can make 300K tax-free every single year in 10 years?
Potentially 10 years, but this is going to be very different for every single person. So for the people that are listening and watching this, and Adrian's going to bust my chops right now.
If anyone wants Evolve hydrogen water, you can turn you into a frog if you drink enough of it.
Of the hydrogen water, huh?
What the fuck is that?
So that's a great selling point. So people want to drink it. So if you're going to market it,
buy it today.
You would be the worst person for sponsors.
Buy it today.
So people do not listen or buy anything from Adrian.
Buy it today.
Anyway, back to the potty.
Back to the podcast. How do I make 300 grand and not turn into a frog?
Yes. And this plan, of course, is going to change for everyone. So timelines are very different for everyone, but I've done it of someone that can potentially do this, and the plan may be different for someone else, but you can follow the same principles.
Yep.
Just the time frames will be very different.
Okay.
In regards to when you can buy those properties, what deposit you can put down, your borrowing capacity limits, etc.
Yep.
What I will say is, if you have the right strategy or the right structure for any individual, then you might be able to do more than what you think.
Okay.
So what am I talking about? Buying properties under different entities.
Which we'll touch on. So my goal, so I want you to take everyone through it. My goal is to pester the shit out of you with this and actually stress test a lot of these things. So hopefully I can do a job and get into the minds of the viewers and the listeners and ask the questions that they are thinking about. Because there's going to be pros to what you're saying. I know what you're going to say. There's also going to be negatives, and there's also going to be combative arguments as to why this, I don't think doesn't work, but why there's potentially another way to work. So let's roll with it. That's how I want this to play. Again, for the viewer at home, make sure you're just running the numbers in your own head, and you can just sit there and go, fuck, okay, this is actually possible, or okay, I need a pivot, or whatever have you. All right, let's roll through it. Come on.
Awesome. So the plan, what we're going to do is each purchase that we're doing with the plan in this scenario, out of the 5 purchases that we do, we're going to be using a 90% loan and 10% deposit. Okay, we're going to be
each one.
Each one. The 5th property, no, we're going to be going with a 30% a 30 to 35% deposit.
Yep.
So a lot different. The first 4 properties as well, we're going to be doing renovation ads. Okay, so adding about $15,000 and $20,000 into the renos, and I factored this all in with deposits for each single property.
Love it.
Okay,
Cool.
Purchase ranges are going to be ranging, and we'll walk from the first 4 are going to be for the 450 to 550 roughly in purchase price. We do have a commercial one towards the end, a little bit different value, and the rental yield that we want to try and capture from doing the renos is around that 5.5% to 6%.
Yep.
For all the properties, I've done it at 5.5. If we can try and get 6, it's going to make the plan a lot more stronger. And then this as well, what I've done is someone starting on 250K of cash or equity to use for this scenario.
Gotcha.
You can do the same if you've got 100 grand.
Yep.
The only difference is the timeline and how many purchases you buy in the initial stage is going to be a little bit different.
Of course.
So for the people that are listening, watching, go through this. You can write this all down, but then of course you're going to have to reverse engineer it for your personal situation. So like I said, a different entity is going to be the way to go with this in regards to how you can keep purchasing more and more property.
Cool.
Okay.
Can I just quickly, because again, just trying to think from the viewer, they're going to gather all this information, and maybe our team can cut this out. Can we give them our plan spreadsheet so that they can actually pop these numbers in? Is that possible?
Yes, we can. So
cool.
We will, with people, I think maybe if they respond to this video, or if they watch it right in the comments, or get back to us and say we've watched the video, can you please give us the spreadsheet? We'll give you a spreadsheet so you can use it.
Is that how you want to do it? Sorry, we're looking at the production team behind us.
15 properties you can put in that spreadsheet, so
okay,
which is pretty cool. So we'll send that across.
Awesome. So you can actually get that. So everything that we're going to run through right now, if you're like, how do I do this? It's a spreadsheet. We are going to give you a spreadsheet for free. People pay us. I don't even know how much people pay us for that. It's literally part of our service offering for free to you. There you go. Let's get into it. Just to confirm, 9% LVR for the first
90, yeah.
90% LVR
For the first-
four properties, and then the fifth one is going to be 30%. Renovation strategy on each one, 15 to 20K, 400 or 450 to 550 purchase price on properties 1 to 4. Yieldish
5.5. I've done all of them at 5.5, but if we can try and get a 6 for each, which is going to be always a challenge as well, that would be awesome. But
Yep.
you know, we'll work through that as we go.
So just stress test that before you do get into it. The reason why it's 5.5 and not the standard 4.5 to 5 is because we're renovating the east.
Correct.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. Now, growth wise, I'm going to be doing. Now we're averaging. I think we're averaging 24% the first year, and we're still compounding in double-digit growth since we've been doing this since 2020. So what I've done is I put 20% for the first year for every property except for the last one, because the last one's commercial. I've done that at 3%.
Yep.
For the next 10 years, but for all the properties, I've done 20% for the first year because of the uplift and of the renovation plus natural growth. Then 10% for the next 2 years. Then after that, 7% all the way through to the 10-year mark. Okay.
Super conservative.
Yeah. So I've done the first 3 at 20, 10, 10, because once again, we're averaging that, and I know what we've done for our clients, and that's, you know, using our results. If I was to do this at a 7% growth rate for the whole 10 years, the results will be very different.
Yep.
Okay.
Still great. Still great. It's like you're still going to double the asset in that 10-year period. We're averaging the quickest time we've ever doubled an asset is in 3 years. So that's like 25, 30% growth per annum.
Correct.
Which obviously we don't go crazy, but we also don't go too conservative. Cool. Love it. So 20, 10, 10, then 7% all the way through. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Now, last thing is every purchase that we've done with this is renovated, like I said, but it's also including buyer's agent fee, stamp duty, legal fees, you know, LMI fees, everything from start to finish, test and building, everything. So I'm not factoring all that in just to make the numbers work. I'm factoring everything.
Yeah.
Even a BA fee. Someone might be watching this and might not use a BA. So of course they'll, you know, there's funds there that will save, but of course someone that's using a BA, this is all included.
Okay. And the renovation and
everything.
And you're going to run through those numbers?
Everything. I won't run through all like the amount of capital that you need for it. I've kind of got to know it off the top of my head already, but cool. I want to more specifically touch on the asset, the purchase price, what the uplift will be after 12 months, what equity we'll have available, rinse, repeat, and then what the cash flow will be every time we strip out the equity as well.
Gotcha.
So I'm factoring in when we're stripping out equity, I'm factoring what that's going to cost us as well, because of course your debt's increasing.
Yep.
So people can understand that. Now, what I'm factoring in too, every year when we do this, your rents are going up.
Of course.
So I'm factoring rents to go up too. So I'll walk through all that step by step.
Cool. And just again, viewer, I don't know how to do a renovation on an asset. You don't need to. This is just the particular strategy that Frank's ran through. Wouldn't it also be amazing that there could be companies out there, Fresh Start Advisory, that help with that whole process? But you don't need to do the renovation. This is just what Frank is building out, okay? Again, lots of our clients, majority of our clients don't do renovations kind of when they buy the asset. They just buy and get 25, 30% growth as is. But you're just doing this for the
I want to do this for the cash flow point of view, because I think today we're in an environment where, you know, 6% rental yield is very, very difficult to capture.
Correct.
Okay, so if we can try and increase the value of the property, not for like, of course it's going to increase in growth, but more the rental side. And some of these renovations that I've put from $15,000 to $20,000 is floor, paint, maybe, you know, some appliances, maybe, you know, curtains, little things that go a long way. Okay, so that's what I've done with these sort of renos. So let's get into it.
Let's rock and roll.
We've got 250 grand. Okay, we're going to get into it. We buy 2 properties off the bat. At the moment, currently, we can pick up a property for 450. That's what we're doing at the moment. We're around 450, 2 properties. So we go out there, buy 2 properties at 450. 10% deposit on each, roughly going to be using about $106,000 roughly, including all costs, LMI and all that sort of stuff. $106,000 for both properties. Okay.
Including the renter.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Idea of that is to increase the rent to a 5.5% rental yield.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's the goal. We hold those 2 properties in year 1. Those properties are costing us $9,600 a year to hold. That's including rates, PM fees, you know, insurances, Everything. Okay. I'm not factoring in maintenance because maintenance can come, changes every year and every time.
Yep.
So just factoring all the utilities.
Yep.
Okay. So $9,500 or 9,600 per year to hold both properties.
5K each.
Roughly 5K each to hold
Okay.
them. Okay. With a 6%, and everything's done at 6% interest rate, interest only. Okay. I haven't put in, and I've left 6% right through year 1 to year 10.
Gotcha.
So I've done 6% for the whole 10 years.
Which is, again, probably not standard. It's probably definitely going to drop and rise and whatnot. But yeah, okay.
Correct.
Also, so sorry, can I just pause very quickly? Go back to the purchase fees. So just, again, going from home, generally speaking, you want to go, so let's call it a 500K asset. If you're putting a 10% deposit, it's going to cost about $100,000, including BA fees, including stamp duty, including LMI, right, on a 10% deposit. If you go 600, it'll be 120. It's essentially double or almost 20%, including all the fees. 10% for the deposit, another 10% for all the other BS fees, including BA fees. Okay, so that's that. Secondly, the $5,000 that the property is costing you per annum, pre-tax.
Correct.
Depreciation we're going to get for the reno.
You'll get that, and you'll get some money back as well. So there's going to be some sort of money back received. It might be $3,000, $4,000, depending on someone's taxable income and how much you're going to write off on that as well.
Okay.
So there is going to be, it's going to reduce that $10,000 to maybe $5,000. Who knows? $5,000, $7,000, whatever it is.
$500 a month. Okay. Very, very limited amount of cash. Cool. Let's rock and roll.
Year 1 goes by.
Yep.
20% uplift because of growth, okay, because of the natural appreciation, also with a bit of the uplift of the reno, okay. Property goes from 450 to 574, both of them, okay.
Perfect.
So what we do then, we've got about $70,000 of equity in both of those properties.
Yep.
Okay, that we can strip out at 80%.
Yep.
Okay, which is awesome. So we factor in rents go up. For this one, I've done a rent increase of $30.
Cool.
Okay. Once again, these are picking markets that we know the rental demand is there as well, and that you're going to get that rental growth as well. Plus, the reno, it's going to help with that.
Cool.
Okay.
So this is, sorry, again, question. This is, you've already taken the rent from what it was, 4.5%, 5% to 5.5% straight off the bat.
Straight off the bat.
And now this is $30 additional after year 1.
Correct.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
So we only need about $113,000, $14,000 for property number 3. Because we're only putting a 10% down. We've got about 140K of equity. We're not going to use a whole 140K. So we take out that equity of $113,000. We buy the 500K property now. Mm-hmm. Put another money, that's including, and then of course we're doing a rent on that property right away also. Paint, carpet, this cosmetic stuff. I'm not talking big stuff here, this cosmetic stuff.
Not smashing walls.
When we take out the equity from P1 and P2, P1 goes to negative $7,000.
Yep.
P2 is negative $5,000. P3 is $2,400.
Okay.
Okay.
So the loan's just been attached to essentially P1.
Yes. So it's all been So I've taken $70K out of P1.
Yep.
Then I've taken the remaining cash that I need, about $40,000 roughly, out of P2. So of course that's increased. Of course, keep in mind the rents have gone up. So all inclusive of equity and in the new purchase, to have 3 properties around $14,500 negative a year.
It's really low.
Yeah, because once again, I'm factoring 6% interest rates. I'm factoring as well where we're buying, your rates and utilities, especially now in Vic, Tassie, New South Wales that we're buying.
Yeah.
Rates and stuff are like, I put it, around $1,800.
Yep.
PM fees around that 8%, give or take. And then I've put insurance around $1,400 and utilities, I think for water is about $850, $900. So yeah, it's quite low, but getting the right property at that right time and with that uplift is where what we're trying to do is make sure the property's not too negative.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And cool. And just to give a bit, because a lot of our clients might be looking at this and going, well, hang on, why is our property costing 10 to 15K? Because that's kind of standard now. You buy a 500K asset, renting for 480 to 520, no renovation, like it's a 4.5%, 5% rental yield. The property's going to cost anywhere from 10 to 15, especially if we're using 100% equity, right? That's the difference between putting a 10% deposit and equity. Like there's a decent chunk that add to, I guess, the negative component. But then also, if you're not doing that renovation and not adding $30, $40, $50 to the yield or to your rent, it just kind of tapers on and it turns it from a 10 to 15k negative to a $5,000 to $6,000, which is significant, right? It's 10 grand a year.
And then, of course, we're going to have clients that their interest rate is completely not six. It's not going to be 6%. It might be 6.2, 6.5. Might be higher, lower, depending. Everyone's different too.
I've been seeing someone told me yesterday 5.6% interest rate. I'm like, holy shit.
That might be on P&I. I haven't seen that on an interest only as of yet. I've seen high fives, like 5.9. But not 5.6 is pretty
I'd be
extraordinary.
very surprised, looking right at the camera, in a year's time, if rates are down, that you could just achieve those numbers, 5k negative, without doing a renovation. I'd be very, very surprised. I'm not going to say I'm going to put money on it, but I'd be very surprised if that's not the case, that you are, in a year's time, going to be at a point where the interest rates are, 5-ish%, and you could just buy an asset, cost you 5k. Like, that's not the golden days, like when we started, 2 to 3%, every property we bought was 10k positive. But anyway, keep going. All right, that's year one. Year two.
Year two, so yeah, we've got about $14,500 negative for the 3 properties.
Awesome.
We've got around a roughly $1.6 million portfolio value.
Awesome. We've done well. We've moved.
Year 3 goes by. Once again, rents go up again. Okay, on all properties.
Yep.
$30 rent increase. We've got P1 and P2. The first one we bought were now at $630,000. P3, $634,000, and we make the new purchase for $550,000.
Love it.
Okay.
Yep.
We strip out the equity, okay, from the portfolio.
Yep.
To use that to buy that 550k purchase, which is roughly going to be about 120-ish, okay, for that deposit, including LMI and everything, all the costs, like we said.
Renovation.
Okay. Yep.
Love it.
We've got available, okay, at that point in time as well, at 200k of equity from the 3 properties. So P1, P2, P3.
Okay.
Got 200k available equity. We don't have to use the whole thing, of course. Like I said, need about 125, 135 in between there. And why I'm saying that range is because of the stamp duty.
Yep.
Okay. New South Wales is cheaper than Victoria. Tassie is cheaper than Victoria. So, that's why I'm putting that range there. So use about 125, 135 roughly deposit. Bang, go buy your next property. For some other people, you might go, oh, okay, I can't put a 10%. I might have to put a 20%. Got 200k of equity there. We can use that as a 20% deposit.
Yeah.
Once again, I think where the people will look at this and go, okay, or if they just bought, their 4th property using this strategy, how can I do that? Someone on a smaller income, may not have that luxury. This is where buying in a different entity is important. A trust.
Yep.
A company.
Or a company.
Corporate trustee. The strategy behind this comes from the broker, I believe. I don't believe it comes from the accountant. It comes from the broker, it comes from your buyer's agent, your team, of how you strategize this. Pros and cons with trusts and companies, okay?
Can we hang on? It's not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We're not accountants. Please speak to your trusted accountant, whatever other thing needs to be said.
Yep.
We can't say this.
We can't say this, but I always want to talk about how important it is to have the right team, okay?
Can I have a pause before you go into this?
Go for it.
Because I want you to touch on this, but I also want you to... So we need 130 for this 4th purchase. We've got 200k. A lot of our clients are going to end up in this position at P3, P4. This is actually the time that you could go in and do that renovation. You could spend, you've got 70k there. That's when you could actually take the equity out and do that. That's what I was saying at the start. You don't need to do the renovation right off the get-go, right? A lot of people, when they think property, they think buying outside of Victoria, buying outside of Sydney, buying outside of where they live. And then, that in itself is a fear. Then if you're going to do a renovation on top of that, people get, fearful. So I just want to reiterate this. After your 2nd purchase or 3rd purchase or 4th, and again, I'm talking to our clients here, but I'm talking to everyone. You gain trust with the process. You buy a property does 150k of growth the first year, 130k growth the second year, and you go, that was easy. That's when you gain trust, right? That's when you gain, okay, I'm trusting the process. I'm really on board with this. Come year 3, year 4, that's when you then can go, well, hang on. This is what the guys are telling us. If you're working with a team or, whoever, I've now got 70k, let's put 15 into each. And you can do it that way as well. Going to slow down the process, obviously, because you're not going to be able to raise the renters significantly. You're going to have to go through maybe a bit more period of negative gearing. But for making people more comfortable, that is potentially a way I could do it. Now, go into team, please.
So with this, for that 4th purchase, we've got all that equity, we use it. I want to just now touch on what the expenses will be per property. Okay, P1 $5,500 negative, P2 about 8,200 negative, P3 5,700 negative, and then P4 is about $5,000 negative. Okay, $24,500 negative.
25. Yeah.
Okay. So 25K, let's just round it off to that. That's going to be negative in the portfolio. They have the 5 properties.
Awesome. Not including the 4 properties.
That's including the 4 properties.
Yeah, 4 properties, not 5. Yep, perfect.
Okay. So,
do you want to touch on the team and trust and whatnot? Or do you want to finish this and then get into it at the end?
I think while we're here, we can kind of stop and let's touch on that because we've got time.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time. So just a quick pause. We've got a portfolio that is worth... What's our portfolio worth right now?
As in here, right now?
On the 4 properties.
So 2 at 330, we've got 1 at... Sorry, 3 at 330 roughly, and then 1 at 550. Let's do the maths.
We've got a portfolio that's costing us, 4 properties, $25,000, give or take. We've got, which to be honest with you is actually relatively low. Like I buy an asset these days and the portfolio, I'm 100% lending. Property will cost me 15-ish. Again, no renovations. Obviously, if I do renovate, like Frank's renovating one of his assets right now, it'll go down to $5,000 negative. So it's on par. But we've got 4 assets. The portfolio is worth, as Frank does the numbers, I'd imagine 2.1, 2.2.
Nah, a bit more than that. It's going to be around the 3.5 mil.
This is on just the 4 properties.
Yeah.
After the 3rd property, it was 1.648.
Or 2 of them at 1.2 already, and then you got 1 at 650 and 1 at 630 and 1 at 550. So you're roughly, you're probably around that. My calendar's not coming up, so unfortunately, I'm sitting here trying to work it all in my head.
Well, I don't think you can work it out with a calendar. You'd have to do it with a calculator. Cool. So the portfolio value is at
2.4 million.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So
with the 4 properties.
Call it 2.5 just to be cute and taper it off. 2.5 mil. Okay.
Yep.
Let's rock it on.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
So we're going to next year.
Yep.
Rents have gone up again.
This is year 4, year 5?
Year 4.
Yep. Awesome.
All rents have gone up again. P1, P2 valued at $695,000. P3, $697,000. P4, $694,000.
Awesome.
Okay. Equity position on each property, P1, 97K available.
Yep.
P2, 48K available.
Yep.
P3, 75K available. P4, 73K available, which roughly gets us to about 293K
Beautiful.
of equity.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And again, if this is overwhelming you, I just want to remind you, there is a spreadsheet that you can use and get off us. So if it's overwhelming too many numbers, that's fine. You guys can play along and we'll send out a spreadsheet. Just literally flick us a DM. We'll get that out to you. All right, let's keep rolling.
Okay. So using all that equity, because now we want to use that equity, it brings us to 9.5K negative for P1 and P2.
Yep.
Because we're stripped out completely.
Yep.
P3 is about 8.5K. P4, 8,100. And then we look at P5, the one we purchased, is actually going to be positive 10,600, which is the commercial.
Cool. So just to pause, you're taking out now that 293. That's getting split across the 4 other assets and then to purchase the 5th asset.
Correct.
And that's why it's bumping up the negative in all the other assets.
Correct. And then what we're going to do there is, I rounded it all off, about a 25K negative for the year for 5 properties.
Love it.
Okay, that's including that commercial purchase. Okay,
Which
and
is 10K positive. Yep.
And that commercial purchase that we've gone out there and purchased that property at, we've purchased it at 750, which is a commercial asset. It's a nice factory, 6% net rental yield. Okay, all outgoings are paid by your tenant. Okay, and we've put a nice healthy deposit on that property, roughly 30%.
But equity. So it's 100% lend still.
Basically 100% lend.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Love it. And it's 10K positive.
10K positive. So
Cool.
the whole portfolio, 25K negative. Okay.
Perfect.
We'll touch on debts and all that towards the end. Year 5 goes by, we hold. We don't buy another property. And what we do, I'm just revaluing the property portfolio and the rents have gone up again. Okay. But I want to touch on where the portfolio sits now. So we've got negative 19,000.
200?
200. P3 is 6,700 negative. P4 is 4,500, $4,500 negative. And then P5, which is the commercial, it's $12,000 positive.
Cool.
brings the portfolio from 25 grand negative to the following year, which is year 5, to 18, or let's just round off at 19 grand negative for that year.
Cool.
Okay. Have 5 properties. Portfolio val is at 3.5 million now.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Great growth.
P1 and P2 valued at $727,000. Okay. P3, 680. P4 is 590. And then P5, which is a commercial, is 772, which is a 3% increase.
3% growth. Yep.
Yeah, 3% growth. Okay.
This is where the magic happens, because now we're allowing, and we were discussing this yesterday, you and I were having a bit of a debate on it, because my belief is, you know, you've got to sell your asset base to then get to your goal quicker. You're against it, right? You're like, no, I actually want to hold most of them, because this is where the magic happens. So in between years 5 and 10, let's just go to year 10 if we can. I know you've got all the details for everything else in between, but if we can just go to number 10, where does the portfolio sit at number 10? What are the averages that you've kind of said in between years 5 and 10, and what does someone end up with?
So from here, this is where most of the properties now just growing at 7%. The commercials at 3% growth.
Yep.
P1 and P2, we've got a 1.1 million value.
I love it.
On that. P3, 1.2. P4, 1.1 roughly, 1.1.5. P5, which is a commercial, is about 920K.
Yep.
Which is a $5.5 million property portfolio.
Beautiful.
In 10 years.
Beautiful.
Okay, from when we purchased the first property to the 10th year in our journey.
Yep.
Okay. We've got usable equity of what we have available. Okay, or when I say available, that's up to 80% of the value of each property, is nearly 1.5 million. It's about 1.492. So, pretty close to 1.5 mil.
So that means, it's a $5.6 million portfolio, and we've got 1.4 million of usable equity. Rough maths, what's that as an LVR?
So we're at a 50% LVR. Beautiful. On the 10th year.
Beautiful.
1.5 nearly K of usable equity. Mm-hmm. Do you want to guess what the cash flow is at that 10th year?
What would the cash flow be? I don't know. Probably just top of neutral. Neutral?
$44,000 positive.
Really?
Yep.
So I actually don't know that, and that's not me talking shit. Like, I actually don't know this. This is kind of making me question, do I sell any of the assets? Okay, keep rolling. Cool,
and that's
44K.
That's a natural. So the increases that I've done on all the rents, for people that are curious, 4% increase on the resis, 3% on the commercial. Now, all of this is great. Of course, there's going to be years where some of the growth will be a little bit less than others. There's going to be years where the rental increase is going to be more than others. Mm. So, of course, this is a perfect world. But the principle are the same here. Of like, the strategy here does work.
Of course.
Okay.
So, yeah, of course.
And the numbers do work. The crazy thing is, the whole debt on the portfolio is 2.77 mil. Okay. Those at 5.5 roughly. Okay. You got the total equity growth is about 2.8 million from purchase price to the new price after the 10th year.
Yep.
So the return on investment is nearly 150%.
Yeah,
which is huge.
Well and truly doubled, more than doubled and a half the entire portfolio in 10 years.
Now,
the source.
The source.
Give me the juice.
This is where people go, okay, I want passive income. I want 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand of passive income.
Yep.
Fantastic. But if you forget, there's tax on that. So you make 100 grand, maybe 30%, 40%, whatever it is, depending on your tax bracket. If you're still working, it might go to the ATO. So what I'm saying is, if you make 100 grand positive cash flow from your property portfolio, and you're still working, you're earning 100 grand, and you've got no people to distribute that to, or it's all in your personal name, and you've got no one, you can't distribute it to anyone, and it goes to you, then you're at 200K income for the year, because you earn 100K in your wage and you earn 100K in your portfolio.
47 cents.
47 cents
Thank
or 45, 47 cents roughly is going to the ATO. Okay?
Which they deserve it.
They've worked hard for it, and that's why we pay our taxes.
I think they deserve more. I'm actually for...
We should put up taxes more, shouldn't we? Tax the rich more.
I actually think I reckon we should
tax the rich more. True.
80% tax to people earning more than 100 grand.
Now, this is where we're going down a rabbit hole, but we hear stories that...
No, can you go into... I don't know if you can go into this.
I want to go down to it. The rich don't pay tax. The rich don't pay tax. This is why.
Let's go.
You look at I can touch on Elon Musk. I know he's not in Australia, but it's the same principles here. Okay, you've got a property portfolio. Right now in this property portfolio, you got that $1.5 million worth of equity. For everyone else, it can be different. It can be 1 mil, it can be 500 grand, it can be whatever it may be.
Yep.
Depending on how they've built this plan.
Yep.
If you're netting 44 grand a year positive cash flow,
Yep.
okay, when you get to this 10-year mark, let's say you take out $300,000 of equity. Okay, you take out $300,000 of equity. Okay, in the 10th year, tax free. That's why the rich don't pay tax. 6% interest rate, principal and interest. So we're paying the debt down. It's about roughly 21 grand a year in repayments. Okay, on the 300 grand. You use that 300 grand and you spend it as you please. Once again, this is not financial advice. Please speak to your accountant and your broker. But you can do this, but
Go for it.
and you use that as spending money. Now you're not going to blow the whole 300 grand in one go. You might go buy a car, maybe like a supercar or something, or you might use a bit of a portion. Say, I'm going to go on a 20 grand holiday, or I'm just going to use it as I please.
Yep.
Okay. And when you're using it, of course, and you take it out of you take that money and you're not going to use the whole 300 grand. So what I'm trying to get people to understand here, as you take the bit of that money from that 300,000, you'll start getting charged interest and principal repayments on it.
6%.
But you just use it as your day-to-day life, or you can use it for discretionary spending on holidays and things like that I just mentioned. So you'll have the remaining sitting in an offset account. You won't get charged interest until you spend the whole 300 grand.
Yep.
And then you can just do it as you please. Okay, now as you're paying that debt down, okay, and you're spending that money, year 2 go by, year 11 goes by, rents go up again, cash flow increases, and you just and you go through this cycle where you can just live off that equity.
Yep.
And that's what the rich do. That's what the rich do. People don't understand that. They just think they don't pay tax because of government incentives. No, it's not. It's because they use principles like this. Elon Musk gets a company. He has a company, goes on the stock exchange. He goes, awesome, I want equity in the company, takes out the equity, tax-free, uses that to do whatever he likes with it.
Yep.
Buys things, buys other businesses, all tax-free, and he's living off that money.
Yep.
This is the same principle.
I love it.
So that's in 10 years' time. Imagine what you can do. And I forecast just what the rents would be. And I forecast if we didn't even take out the 300 grand equity, what the year 15 mark would look like. It's about 55 grand a year of positive cash flow.
Yep.
And that's just being very conservative with the rents at 3%. I've done for the whole portfolio.
Yep.
And it's about 55K of positive, okay? By that time as well, you can probably even take out even more equity and you can live off that as well and just let it sit there and do it as you please.
And I think there's a few things here. So a quick pause, right? Because people hear 55K in 15 years and they go, oh, that's not sufficient for me to live off.
Of course it's not.
Absolutely. You can go down the route of taking equity out. You could go down the route of selling your entire portfolio. You've got $3 million worth of free cash flow, essentially, capital gains tax and whatnot. But you go out and buy we're doing a strategy right now, someone with a $10 million property portfolio that's generating him, it's all unencumbered, it's generating him 50 grand, 40 grand.
Yeah, and that's because of land tax. Correct.
But now he's coming to us and we're like, cool, well, we're going to sell a few assets. You go buy 2 to 3 commercial assets outright that are worth $1 million, 1.5. Well, that's 150, 200,000. So there's a few different ways you can skin a cat here. I do like the analogy. I do like the fact that you've gone, take the equity out and go and spend that. That's tax-free. I like that. I really like that. That's almost like buying property. It's buying stocks in a self-managed super fund and having it at a balance of 2 mil, taking out 100K every year to go and spend, but then the portfolio jacks up again every year 10% and it comes back up to 2 mil or 1 mil, whatever the amount is. I love it.
Or you have a look, if you got someone that's coming to retirement, and I was speaking to a lady, it was a friend of a friend that got referred to me. She goes, Frank, got a house unencumbered. I'm thinking of selling it, buying a beach house, giving some money to my kids. And I'm like, okay, how much have you got in super? And when you retire, because she's coming close to retirement, hasn't got enough to live at all. I think it's like 50 grand.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay. If you do that, she's like, I want the pension, so I'm going to live with the pension. Because if she has all that, when she sells that property and she buys a home, if she keeps all the cash, they won't give her the pension.
Gotcha.
And this is where the understanding of how debt works, how the finance system works, and for herself, unfortunately, she didn't understand it. It was like just too much. Didn't want to take on debt, and they look at debt as bad. But I said, if you rent your house out in Melbourne, okay, and I don't know what she would get. I think it was like $100 or maybe $900 a week she could get. But imagine if you're listening to this and you've got a couple of properties unencumbered, you could then rent those houses out, go live where you want to live. If it's an apartment and you want to downsize because you're getting close to retirement, go rent, okay? And let's say you rent $500, $600 for a unit, okay, where you want to live, or if it's down the road, you rent out your properties. But when you're still working, you take out a whole bunch of equity, let it sit in the offset account, put it on a P&I loan, okay? As it's got an offset account or a redraw, you're not going to get charged any repayments because you haven't used it yet. Then you can start to live off that. And you would probably live off that and live a better life than receiving 30, 40 grand a year from the pension.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very interesting.
And using this strategy as a different way to look at things, like you got a house unencumbered, rent it out. Let's see what you can get for a week. If you can get $1,000 for a week in a house, especially these days, and you look at Melbourne, a lot of these big houses or close to the CBD, some of them are getting $1,000 for,
of course,
anything, a little shack. So that there is 50 something grand a year. If it's unencumbered, of course, you got to factor in land tax and all that sort of stuff. In Vic, it's a bit hard done by, but if it's a different state, it can work into your favour. Live off the equity, and then once that runs out and you're paying, or if you're paying it back as it goes, and you're really diligent with your money, fantastic. If it gets to a point where it's not advisable, and you've lived off the equity for 5-6 years in your retirement, then you can look at selling everything. And then, maybe you can live off the remaining cash, or maybe you do whatever you like or you're pleased with it, and, once again, go for the pension. But these are options. And once again, I'm just generalizing here. This is not financial advice. It's something that you have to look into deeply, but I'm giving some ideas for the people that are listening to say, hey, there's more than one option. There's more than two options, and there's the ways of looking at this can be very different. So I know when I get to a point of 60 years of age, a lot of properties are going to do extremely well because I'm holding them from now to then. I will be in this scenario where I can just live off the equity if I really want to. And I can live off the equity pretty soon too because of all the properties I've got.
Yep.
But that's not my strategy as of yet because I'm still working. But it's a great way to look at things differently.
I love it. For the viewer, to summarise, we end up with a portfolio. Now, this is just 5 assets. You do not need 350 properties. You do not. Even 5 properties, a lot of people hear that and go, well, fuck, that's a lot of properties. It is. It's something spectacular. It's something extraordinary. It is not the standard, but I don't think you're going to be listening to this podcast if you are the standard, right? You want an extraordinary life, but you end up at a portfolio after year 5 of negative 19K for 5 assets and a portfolio value of $3.5 million. By year 10, if you buy correctly, you end up at a portfolio of $44,000 and a portfolio value
5.5 mil.
5.5 mil. Pretty cool. And then from that, you can do as you please. Awesome podcast. I think that was nail biting. I actually want to send this to a whole bunch of clients, really, because I think this is really cool. And it's a good reminder that if you actually just follow a very simple principle and stick to a plan, you can achieve stuff like that's generational wealth. Because remember, that's 10 years.
Yep.
Go 50 years or 30 years. That's it. Like, imagine retiring. Neither you or I came from this. I don't really know anyone that did come from it, but you think about it, our portfolio now, which is already at that 5-6 mil, in 30, 40, 50 years' time, hopefully our kids have got, they're good kids and they're not coming for it. But it's 50 million, it's $100 million, right? It's a crazy amount of money. It's generational wealth. So it's pretty special. Great podcast. I'll see you next week. I loved it. Thank you.
Welcome. And I think next week's podcast, we do have a guest coming on, which is pretty interesting. So first guest for the new live or in-person podcast. So stay tuned. That's going to be about finance strategy. We're going to get a broker on, and we're going to talk about lending and how to get more access to borrowing capacity. So for the people that are listening and they can't borrow and they're maxed out or they don't know how they buy more than 1 or 2 properties, next week's episode is going to be the episode that you want to stay tuned for, because that's going to be the one where we're going to lay it all out.
Both Frank and I's personal broker. So the gentleman who came to us at the start of the year and said, well, it came to me, Adrian, you can buy 6 properties in 12 months. And I've got it written up on my whiteboard. So personal broker, he's worked with a lot of our clients and has a very good knack for getting extra borrowing and understand trusts and structures and companies and whatnot. But again, for you guys, if today was great, I'd suggest probably re-listening again, and then there will be a spreadsheet for you guys to get. The same spreadsheet that we use for clients, you guys can get it for free. Just DM us, message us, do something. I'm looking at Amelia. Leave a comment. Follow. Send this to friends. I'm like a puppet. Have a beautiful day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.